Hello, everyone, and welcome to the inaugural episode of the Goalie Hacks podcast, vodcast, I guess you could say, where we provide you tips, hacks, and strategies on how to become an elite goaltender, today. So thank you so much to everyone who's tuning in. I'm your host, Mike Santaguida, and on today's episode, I'll be introducing myself, what the show is all about, and what you guys can expect from the upcoming Goalie Hacks podcast going forward. I'm sure you all got a lot of questions, and I want to get right into business ASAP, but I just really want to paint a better picture of what I'm trying to do here, like who I am so you can get to know me a bit, and hopefully you'll trust me enough to start down a journey together to uncover some of the best kept secrets of goaltending. What are the true tried and tested hacks that elite goaltenders have used both physically and mentally in their game to harness success in their career. So that's what the show is about, and to provide that value to you guys absolutely free of charge, completely free. Can I get a round of applause, please? Honestly, goaltending and the goaltending realm have become so expensive. I mean, people are just paying thousands of dollars for information. So, first and foremost, this is going to be completely free to everybody. I just want to provide as much value as I can, free of charge, and I think you guys are going to be really excited. So, what's sort of the mission and branding of Goalie Hacks, right? And I just want to take this opportunity first and foremost to thank you, to thank everyone who's openly accepted me into the online goalie community. And I know trust and loyalty is earned, and I intend on continuing to prove to everyone where my true intentions lie. So I'm sure there's been a bit of a stir with me just jumping into the community as I did, but I just want to be very clear in my motives and my intentions here, so there's no confusion. I come in peace. You know what I mean? In fact, so does everything that we represent and stand for here at Goalie Hacks. We believe in the free flow of information in the goalie community. And this project is about support and inclusion, and we believe in being welcoming and being supportive of all goalies of all levels, of all circumstances, boys or girls of any age. I don't see anyone as my competitors, really. And I know everyone doesn't always see eye to eye, but I welcome healthy, open dialogue with open arms. And I think working with each other can help us discover the best answers for the goalie community we may otherwise never have stumbled on before, right? And I intend on digging deep to help discover some of those things for everyone listening to my show, right? So the mission here is very simple, and I'm just trying to provide the right message. Um, I just want to provide the right messages to everyone, really, so we can all kind of work together to help the position evolve as efficiently as possible. Because at the end of the day, I just love goaltending. I mean, I think hockey's a beautiful game, and I think goaltending in ice hockey takes an incredible amount of athleticism, skill, and character. And I commend anyone willing to strap up some gear and stand behind pucks, putting themselves in harm's way for their teammates. So there are a lot of things that come with the territory, but I've learned to embrace them, and to appreciate them. And the things that we go through as goalies, that's why I love all goalies, and I'm willing to help anybody who has the courage to go looking for help, if they so be it. So I love the community, everyone in it, and I just want to give back to the game as much as it's given to me. So, that's kind of my intentions here. And I just want to say thank you to everybody for tuning in. So I'm sure you're all wondering, who I am, and what a better way to kick off the first episode than to give a backdrop, I guess, on my story and myself, so you guys can kind of understand where I'm coming from and who I am, what kind of character I have, what kind of person I am. Those things matter, and just so we can connect a bit more. So obviously, I'm your host, Mike Santaguida. I was born in 1993 in Toronto, Ontario, in Canada. So at the time of this recording, I'm 26, almost 27, and my birthday is March 6th. I'm not the tallest guy in the world, standing at about 5'8" on a good day. I'm sure you're, uh, I'm sure you're wondering how tall I am, because that's obviously a highly debated topic in the goalie world. But in my eyes, other than from a political standpoint, for me, if you can play the game, you can play the game. Um, and I guess I knew pretty early on in my career that I had some innate talent, and I kind of had a knack for it despite being a little bit undersized. So, but aside from that, my family's just super Italian. I come from a bloodline of immigrants, and all my grandparents were born and raised in Italy, and they all moved here and immigrated here. And my parents are first generation Canadian, right? So I've grown up in a city basically my whole life in Mississauga, which is right beside Toronto. And I started skating around 3 years old. I started playing around 4 or 5, just what we called paperweight back then. And basically Sunday mornings, 7 a.m. games. And then I became a goalie at 5 or 6, and I kind of started formal goalie training when I was 7 years old, and since then it's been obviously quite a journey. It's been a long haul. I've been playing goalie for about 20 years now, both playing and then coaching for more than 10 since I was about 13 years old. So for me, I've played AAA, basically all of my youth years, bouncing around teams in the GTHL, which is the Greater Toronto Hockey League, which is an incredible minor hockey league to play in as a kid. I felt super fortunate to be able to play in a league like that with, guys that are now NHLers. And, we kind of knew that at the time. My dad knew and everybody knew, and I think it's kind of a known thing in the region that it's a very good league and a lot of good players go on to do great things. Um, but the greater, but when I was about 15, I got overlooked in the OHL draft. I think that will kind of skip forward a little bit. Throughout my minor hockey years, I experienced a pretty significant amount of success. I won a couple championships, and despite being small, I could tell that I kind of had a knack for goaltending, and I honestly just loved the game. I mean, I loved playing it. And then back when I was 15, I got overlooked in the OHL draft, and it kind of lit a fire in me. And it put me, I'll never forget, the path that the feeling of that happening after putting in so many years in minor hockey, and then, getting overlooked in the OHL draft was kind of a sting to me. I thought that despite some downfalls throughout the year, I finished very strong. And at the time, I thought that maybe I deserved it. But I think in a bit in hindsight, it could have gone a little bit better. And obviously, it's very competitive. And I think my size had a lot to do with it. But had I been more standoutish, had I been the best, obviously that would have gone my way. But despite that, that was probably the best thing that ever happened to me. Because that summer after that, I toured a bunch of prep schools and Division I colleges, and then I started to get recruited by schools, both prep and D1. So I decided that I'd probably lengthen my career a bit, knowing I was a bit of a smaller guy and that I probably wasn't going to grow much more. One, it would give me some time to grow a little bit at least, to get to sort of more around the size I am today. And then two, just to get that experience, right? To get stronger, get a couple more years under my belt, right? Just play games and really develop and get that experience. So, so I decided to go that route. And the following year, I decided to play midget. And I also AP'd is what we called it here in Ontario. Basically, being an AP is being an affiliate player, and even though you're playing midget, it allows you to get called up and play up to 10 games as an affiliate. So I thought the best thing for me, instead of going to play junior, which ended up being such a blessing, was to stay in midget, to play games, and then to just practice with the junior team until I was ready to play. And that's exactly what I did. I played with my midget team. I played every game. I really found and came into my own that midget year with some goalie coach I was working with. And I basically that year kind of changed my career, but that started me on the road to becoming what I would consider as to be an elite goaltender, right? And I was only allowed to play 10 games that year with my midget team, and it ended up being such a smart with my junior team. And it ended up being such a smart decision because I played a ton with my midget team. I practiced with the this was in the OJHL with the Orangeville Crushers, and believe it or not, my coach was Dale Howarchuk. I don't know if you guys know him. He's obviously a Hall of Famer and arguably one of the best players to ever play the game. But he was my coach there, and I grinded every single day for months, going to every single practice, showing them I wanted to get better, that I was trying to get acclimated, so that way they would play me. I really wanted to play, and I knew I wasn't there yet, but I knew I would get there. And eventually, I was playing rebound at the end of practice, and the owner actually saw me, and I ended up getting like a shutout and playing lights out, and that was around the time that I really started getting acclimated to the level. And he went to the coach, and he said, "Hey, we need to play this kid." And sure enough, they gave me my first start within a week or two, and I won my first game against the Toronto Hamilton Red Wings. This was back in like 2008 or something like that. So over 10 years ago. And Zach Hyman, who's obviously on the Toronto Maple Leafs, he was on that team at the time. And that kind of started me on a journey that season of like really proving to myself that I could play at the next level. You know, really proving to other people that I could play at the next level, because that was the biggest knock on me. Everybody said that I would never even play junior hockey because eventually, even though I was good, the size thing would just become too much for me and it would become overwhelming. And they were wrong. They were wrong. And I'll say that right here now on the record. And I knew they'd be wrong. I knew I had talent. I knew I had hard work. And I knew that I had a kind of a knack for stopping pucks, really. And that year was basically awesome. You know, I was only allowed to play 10 games. And this was back when point streak was like so bad. It was in the first days of point streak, and I didn't even have a name bar on my jersey, and basically they would put me down as on the roster as a different person, so that way I ended up playing like 12 or 13 games that year. In the playoffs, he ended up starting me over the starter, and it was just an incredible experience, and I'll never forget, you know, what Dale Howarchuk did for me and the confidence that he put in me. You know, that guy completely changed my life. He changed my career by giving me that opportunity, and I'll never forget what he did. That opened a lot of doors for me. And since, you know, that summer before, I had been in contact with the coach from Quinnipiac at the time. They were recruiting me, and his name was Ben Sire, and he had been my guide on what you know, on what I should do, basically, right? Like, I truly believe in this world that, you know, you should listen to people that have what you want. And I said to him, I said, "Hey, I had a really good year in junior. Like, what should I do?" And I said, "Should I stay here and be home and train? Should I go to the EJHL, which is a junior league in New England? It was at the time. Now I think it's called like the USPHL or something like that. The names are constantly changing on the leagues, but and I said, or should I go to prep school?" And he said, "You should go to prep school." And I didn't even bat an eye. You know what I mean? We just kind of, I'd already been in the application process, and it was just at the end of the year. And I didn't even bat an eye. You know what I mean? I decided to go prep right away. I listened to him. I didn't wait a second. I knew I needed to get my grades up, and I knew I needed more exposure. You know, if I had any chance of getting a Division I scholarship, I'd kind of set my mind on it. And I was willing to give up everything to chase my dream. You know, I left my family and friends behind at 17 years old, you know, going to a foreign place with a Canadian accent. You know, it was such a enormous culture shock for me, but I was on a mission, and I think one day I just decided, you know, like, do I want to sit at home and chill with my friends my whole life, or do I want to go out there and be a hockey player and really chase my dream and hit the ground running, right? Because I knew if I didn't leave, I first of all, I was becoming my friends, and you know, as much as I love them, they can be a bunch of bums, as most people in this world, right? They don't really want to chase great things. They don't want to sacrifice. Everybody loves being in their comfort zone, and I've honestly thrived in times of uncertainty in my career, and that's what the thrill really is for me, you know. So I left home at 17, and I really told my parents that's what I wanted to do. I didn't think twice. I left on a mission to get a Division I scholarship, and I was super locked in. So I got to school, and I kind of had a second chance at things. Um, this was my second chance. I ended up leaving at the end of grade 11. I repeated grade 11 because I needed to get enough credits to graduate with the American diploma on time, so I needed to get like certain amount of English credits, and this was all clearinghouse stuff too in order to be eligible for the NCAA at all, right? So I had to work on some clearinghouse things. So I repeated grade 11. It ended up being a blessing in disguise because I was always pretty good at school, and I didn't really try that hard, so I didn't do my homework. You know what I mean? Like, I just kind of lollygagged. I would go to class, take notes, study an hour before test nights, get 80s, and that's kind of how it went for me. Not everybody's like that, obviously, but I kind of realized, like, when I went to prep school, I'm like, okay, I got a few years here to really show myself, right? To show people that I'm worth investing in. And I wanted to make sure that there was no area that people could hold against me, right? Whether it was my off ice habits, my on ice habits, being a good teammate, character, grades, right? Because I knew that if it came between me and somebody else who was taller than me, and if we were even keel with things, with grades, with skill level and everything, I knew they weren't going to take me. I mean, that was the Jaguar era where, everybody wanted big blocking style goalies to cover the most net they could. And the small goalies, we were really at a disadvantage. I mean, people really, really held that against me, like, early on, in the serious years of my career. And obviously things have changed now, but I kind of knew that, and it was a big opportunity for me to kind of turn my life around. And I went to school. I learned how to study. I learned how to do my homework. I ended up being a headmaster list student. By the end of being there, I had like a 95 average. And I led New England in goaltenders for 2 years straight. I was the top in all of New England for 2 years. So I focused on my hockey. I did what I needed to do. I was the best there. I showed people I could play, and I showed people I had good grades. So there was really nothing holding them back. But obviously, people are like, "Hey, you did it here, but we want to see you prove it in junior." So what did I do? Well, I guess I'll kind of segue a bit. After my first year of prep school, I went to the USHL Combine, and I really put myself out there, to kind of give myself the best chance of getting seen by schools, right? Like, I really, really wanted this, and I was willing to crash and fail at anything I did, to get what I wanted, really, right? So got invited to the USHL Combine, ended up getting assigned to Tri-City, and I played lights out in the tournament. I really made a statement. I showed people that I could play at that level and that I should be considered. And then toward the spring, let's I guess we can start a bit. My senior year, it was like 5 games in, and I had like 3 shutouts, and my coach walks in during study hall, and he says, "Hey, Mikey, I heard that Trinity College called you." And I said, "Yeah, they did." He said, "Yeah, the coach called me and told me that he called you." And I said, "Yeah, so what's up?" And he said, "Well, you going to take it?" And I said, "Honestly, I don't think so." And he said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You're getting a full ride at a high-end school, this and that, blah, blah, blah." And I said, "Honestly, my goal isn't just to go and get good schooling. My goal with this is to play Division I. It always has been coming here." And I said, "I'd rather crash and fail than settle here. I'll never forgive myself." And he said, "What are you going to do? You're going to go play junior?" He's like, "What's going to come of it? Like, what's really going to happen?" And I respect the hell out of my coach there. He's one of the best coaches in all of prep hockey and high school hockey in the entire country. His name's John Gardner. And I told him I was turning it down, and I knew that I knew my worth. I knew I was a Division I caliber goalie, and I'd rather wait until the last second to commit to a D3 than do that. So long story short, I had an incredible year. I almost broke all of John Quick's records because John Quick actually went to Avon Old Farms, which was the prep school I attended. And at the end of the year, I wasn't getting any offers still. And what happened was people were very interested. They said they wanted to see me play junior, and I said, that's fine. I'll prove it to you in junior. And so what I did was I got an invitation to a rookie camp in the spring for the Tri-City Storm. Funny how that segued. And I went to their rookie camp, and I lit it up, and I ended up making main camp of the 28-man roster for the fall. Went to main camp, absolutely lit it up, and then that year was actually the NHL lockout. And what happened was you had this big trickle-down effect of all these pro guys that were basically going to play in pro leagues in Europe, and it was pushing all the rookies from like the OHL and stuff back into the leagues in North America, right? So they ended up taking this goalie, and I'll tell you this story another time about that whole thing, but they ended up taking a guy who didn't even play a game. He came in late, and he was from the OHL, and he was like a Chicago draft pick. So I walked into the coach's office after playing lights out for 2 weeks. Like, I gave them no choice but to look dumb cutting me. And they said they were looking for a more blocking style goalie. I said, that's fine. And I said, thank you for the opportunity. Held my head high, walked out. And what I did, this was about the end of September now. And I had been talking to a coach, Matt Earhart, who was the head coach of the Surrey Eagles in the BCHL at the time. And he had contacted me in the spring, and I said, I'm going to play in the USHL. I need to try. Don't wait up for me. In order to prove to everybody that I can play, I need to play at the highest level possible, right? Like, I need to show everybody that I can play at the highest level possible and that I'm worth it if I want to be considered for a Division I deal, right? So fast forward, get cut. That morning, I spend an hour, talk to my dad. He says, let's call Matt Earhart. So I call him. I said, hey, coach, just want to let you know I just got cut from Tri-City, and I'm looking for a team. I was wondering if there's an opportunity still where you are. And he said, it's funny that you just called me. We're actually in the market. I'll call you back in an hour. So long story short, I go get my gear, bring from the rink while everybody's on the ice, right, because I got cut before practice. Come home, get on the phone with him. He said, how quickly can you be here? I said, I'll be there tomorrow. By tomorrow night, I'll buy a flight right now. Buy the flight. Next morning, 7 a.m. on the flight, get into Vancouver at 12 at night. This Wednesday, get up. He said, stay at home. We have to release the other goalie still. So I stay at home Wednesday. Thursday's my first practice in Surrey. And then Friday's our first game. And for context, at the time, Surrey was 2-9. And we played Coquitlam, and they were 10-2. They were number 1 in the league. And I remember going into that game with so much fire, just so upset about how I didn't deserve to get cut from Tri-City. And I was out to prove that I should have made that team. And I had that in mind. And that game we won 2-1. The shots were like 40-20. We got absolutely shelled, and we beat them 2-1. And then, believe it or not, after that game, my coach comes in and says, hey, somebody wants to talk to you outside. I walk outside. Sure enough, it's Kyle Wallach, who is the assistant coach at Vermont. And that just goes to show you how quickly things can turn around. If you know your worth, you know you have talent, you hold your head high. It just goes to show you quickly how things turn around. So that's crazy. You know what I mean? Basically, I talked to Vermont there. We kept in contact because they were very interested. And by Christmas, I was leading the league, and I had been leading the league for a couple months for goaltenders in the BCHL. And he said, your numbers don't lie. They speak for themselves, and we'd love to offer you a spot. It didn't take me very long. They said, you're going to come in, you're going to play. We need a guy to come in and share minutes. And I said, Dad, like, this is it. Like, I'm going to take it. And he said, well, take it. And I took it. And obviously the rest is a little bit of history there. But that year we went on to become first place in the league after being last in the league. I won the Goalie of the Year award in the BCHL, and we ended up winning the entire league. We won the Fred Page Cup, baby, in 2013. It was one of the most special years of hockey I've ever played in my life. And we won in double OT in Penticton in Game 6 to win the series 4-2. I played with some incredible guys on that team. And we went on to the Western Canada Cup, which was regionals. We won. I won the Goaltender of the Tournament award in their inaugural Western Canada Cup tournament. And then we went to the RBC Cup, and we lost in the double. We lost to the host team in double overtime in the semifinals of the RBC Cup. So obviously that was a heartbreaker, but that year was incredible for me, my life. I had proved to everybody that I was worth something, that I was a championship goalie finally, right? And that's what I set out to do that year. And there was an interview I did back in October where I said, yeah, we're going to try and piece things together here, try and win some games, and then hopefully win a championship and maybe go to an RBC Cup. And it's crazy how I planted that seed, and then it actually ended up coming true. You know what I mean? It actually becoming a reality. So, anyways, had a really short summer because we ended in June, went to Vermont, and was playing right off the bat. My first game, the first game of the season, the other goalie who was returning had a groin problem. And the first game of the season, my first college game ever, I played North Dakota in North Dakota for 2 games. And that was just like, whoa, getting thrown in with the Sharks, getting thrown right in the water, right in the fire. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me, honestly. Getting thrown right into the fire, into that. And it made me grow up real quick. It made me realize like the caliber of what I'm dealing with and that I really needed to step my game up. So we lost the first game. I think it was like 4-2. And then the second game we ended up tying 2-2. And that was a huge game for me. I mean, I just showed everybody that I beat the best team that I went toe to toe with the best players, the best team in the country as a freshman. And I always wondered why I wasn't getting a deal when I was 18 years old, and it became very apparent to me when I got to college hockey when I was 20. After repeating a year of prep school and then going to playing a year junior and being out of basically being behind 2 years, I realized when I finally got there really like how hard it was. You know what I mean? And I realized that whole time why nobody wanted me right away. And that was fine, and I grew into somebody worth being able to play at that level and to win games and to have worth, right? So went to Vermont, had an awesome freshman year. I basically played a ton of games. I played like 22 games. We went to the tournament that year, which was the first time they'd been to it since 2009. And we lost to Union in the first round, basically. Was kind of funny. We came 14th seed or 13th. We were a 13th seed in the pairwise. And what happened was we were supposed to play Ferris State, and because of like location, they chose to they made us play the first seed, which was one of the first seeds who was closest to us, which was Union, and that was the year that Gottisbehere was there, and it ended up being a magical year for them. We got absolutely walked all over. I mean, we lost, obviously. They won it all. And then my second year, we missed the tournament by 1 spot. We were 17th in the pairwise. That was kind of a breakout year for me in college. I led all of college hockey for about half the season, being in and out of the top 3. And then I got nominated for the Mike Richter Award that year, which is the top goaltending award in college hockey, if you don't know what that is. And that was a huge milestone for me, just to be nominated as one of the top 10 goalies in college hockey that season. Really showed people that I was an elite goalie and that I could stop pucks, right? So I didn't win the award, obviously. I think like Thatcher Demko won the award, and BC, I'm not sure if they went on to win it all or not that year, but it was well deserved. But it was just a really good accolade for me to kind of catch and to be in that top 10, obviously, to kind of make a name for myself. My junior year, we kind of had a tough go. We didn't have a great incoming class. And, we didn't have a lot of talent, and I just stopped a lot of pucks, played every game. And then I had an incredibly brutal injury in a game about halfway through the season on December 1st. We were playing BU. The first night we play them, we get outshot 45-20. We win 3-2, an absolute, grind of a game. And I pulled that one out of my hat, which was an enormous win for us. And the second night, and that year, knowing that we weren't that great, I kind of said to myself, I'm going to do whatever it takes to win. I'm going to do whatever it takes to win. And that was kind of stupid because on one play, second game of the weekend, it's 10 minutes left in the game. And we're up, we're tied we're up 2-1, and the shots are the same with 10 minutes left in the game. I think I had about 50 saves with 10 minutes left, and I actually was going for a record of how many saves to be made in a single game in UVM history. I was gonna break a record. I know it. And some guy, like, I made a save and the D-man came in and he picked up the puck and he tried to wrap it around, and a guy was coming in and got caught up with me, and I dove across and I absolutely folded my ankle in half. They scored on the ensuing play to make it 2-2. My trainer came out. I couldn't even stand on my ankle, even though I wanted to play. And I knew something was really wrong. And I went off the ice, and then in the ensuing weeks, I instantly went in and got an MRI on my ankle, and it was torn about 90% in 3 places. And they recommended I needed surgery, and if I got surgery, I'd be out 6 months indefinitely. And it would put a huge dent. I wouldn't be back for the year. I'd be out for like 9 months with the rehab and everything. I said no. I'm going to go home, and I got these shots called a PRP. They're completely legal, don't worry. And it cut my healing time in half, and I came back within 3 months. And I played the end of the year, the last game of the season I played, and then we played in the playoffs, and we lost to BC in the second round. And then my senior year, I kind of just kept having trouble with my ankle. I kept hurting it a little bit, and it was affecting my game. And we had a really good young goalie come in, and he was playing, and he was winning. And soon enough, I was taking a back seat. I'd lost my game. I kept kind of hurting my ankle throughout the year, any momentum I got. And I kind of had a really bad senior season. So fast forward to pro, my senior year, I only played about 10 games. And that hung over me. People were like, well, what happened? And I had to explain to everybody that that the ankle injury really put me back, and in a year and a half, almost 2 year span, I only played like 13, 15 games, which is pretty significant for a goalie, like when you think about it, right? Like as a goalie, you're first and foremost, the biggest thing, that you need to do is play, right? Like you need to get games under your belt. You need to you need to practice, right? Like anybody can make saves in practice, but in a game when everything's live, that's where people really thrive, right? Right. Good goalies are gamers. You know what I mean? So with that being said, I went to the Colorado Eagles training camp in the fall. And at the time they were part of the ECHL, which was, I was really fortunate. And it went there, lit up camp. The day before exhibition games, coach calls me in and said, hey, we're going to have to release you. And I didn't know anything at the time about pro. And I was kind of like, what do you mean? Like, I've been doing better than what you have. Like, what? And you figure it out. And he kind of taught me a bit of how it goes. And he set me up in some great SPHL teams. And, I moved on. I packed up, moved on, left the next day, went to the SPHL for the Peoria Rivermen, and I went there, and unfortunately I had good numbers right off the bat, but I wasn't winning. And they gassed me there, and then I went to Fayetteville. They picked me up off waivers. They had a coaching change in Fayetteville. Couldn't figure out a way to win there, and just really struggling ever since I had that ankle injury, just to kind of find my way, find ways to win, I guess you could say, right? Like my biggest thing as a smaller guy, was just I was so good at finding ways to win despite what the odds were, right? So, and I just lost that, really, and I basically got cut from. They had a coaching change. It ended up being a blessing in disguise, really, because that was a disaster there. And what happened was I said, you know what? I need to work on my game. I'm not good enough right now. I'm not getting the results I need. I'm not finding ways to win games. I need to find my game again. I'm just going to go down to the Federal Hockey League. I'm going to swallow my pride, and I'm going to find myself again, because I know I have talent. I know I have hard work. I know I have the character. I just need to get some minutes under my belt again. And that's exactly what I did. I went down there, and I broke every record in the league. We went on a 25-game win streak, which I'm pretty sure still stands as the longest record. I could be wrong. I think Carolina, another team, came pretty close last year. 2019 at the time of this recording. Um, but yeah, I went down there and I just found my game, lit it up, found my love for the game again. You know, I just had so much fun playing. Like, obviously, I might have been a little bit above that caliber, but hockey's about having fun, man. Like, like, that's why we play the game. You know, we play the game, obviously, to play the highest level we can, but you got to play to have fun. Because if you don't have fun when you play, you're going to burn out real quick. And I promise you that, right? Because when I was a kid, I was nonstop training and I loved the game so much. And if I hadn't, I wouldn't have been able to go through all that. So, basically, I won goaltender of the year. I won rookie of the year that year. We went all the way to the finals, and unfortunately, we didn't win the league that year, which was such a heartbreaker. And I won't get into that, but the following year, I was like, okay, I got what I needed to from that league. I had coaches call me, and they all said, hey, like, you want to come up and back up? And I said, well, in all fairness, the only reason I'm down here is because you guys said I don't have enough games, enough minutes, so I think I'm going to stay here and play more and get my minutes up, right? So that's what I did. I stayed there, got my games. The following season, I had connected with the Knoxville coach and went to main camp and made the team out of main camp. You know, I gave him no choice. I basically didn't let in a single goal in the practices or the games, and I gave him no choice but to take me. You know what I mean? And I think in general over my career, I've been a pretty good camp person. Like, I do really good when the pressure's on and the coaches are making decisions, and I'm pretty good at giving them a great first impression in terms of like what they're getting out of me, right? So, long story short, made the team last year, had an awesome year, and played about 20 games in that league. Got called up to the ECHL a couple times. With South Carolina and Charleston. It was awesome. And so here I am now. I've been playing pro for about 3 years. And I just kind of want to be here, and show you guys, that I've basically, spit in the face of politics my entire career and defied the odds. Like, people said I would never even play junior. I got my education, I got my degree, and now I'm doing what I love, which is playing professional hockey, as well as doing some other things on the side I found some passions in that have provided me some income to continue to play pro hockey. And obviously now including this, you know what I mean? I'm the guy that the hockey world tried to keep out and they couldn't, right? And now I'm doing the ultimate thing, which is giving back to you guys, giving back to the game, giving back to goaltending, and really disrupting the goalie space. I want to lead an army. I'm raising an army here of character-driven goaltenders, and try to help you guys get on a road to massive success. I mean, hopefully, greater than the things that what I've done over my career. That's really what I want to do. I want to give back to you guys. I know there's tons of talent out there, and I know that lots of people just don't have access to some of the information or the wherewithal and the resources that I had my entire career. I had a very supportive family, my parents, my sisters, my cousins, everybody. And I really, want to give back. I think that not everybody has those resources. And that's why I really want to do this. So I'll lead that. That's a bit of a segue into why I want to do this. You know what I mean? And the power of what I'm doing is endless. I'm able to connect with people all over the globe, right? Like people in Russia, people in Texas. You know what I mean? Like I'm able to give professional advice like that to someone, that might not necessarily have any means. Like, I didn't have all this growing up. Like, I had to pioneer. Me and my dad had to invent things. Me and my coaches take bits and pieces from everyone and piece it together, right? And I just love the game of hockey. I love goaltending. And it's given so much to me. Like, people really don't understand how grateful I am. Like, I'm eternally grateful for the friends and family and the life lessons I picked up during my journey. And I look forward to really continuing on my journey to grow and learn much more. And I'm just so grateful, man. I want to give back. It's given so much to my life. I want others to experience what I have. I think I've had an incredible experience, and everyone should have a shot at that, right? Like I really believe that if I can come from the basement of of minor hockey and constantly be put in the basement and make my way up, like honestly, anybody can. And I want to be a bit of a beacon of hope, to guys that maybe thought they couldn't do it because of genetics or the lack of innate talent. You know what I mean? Like just because you don't have the size or the genetics doesn't mean that you can't get this done. You can't play professional hockey and make money playing hockey one day. Whether it's in North America and Europe, there are places all over the world that we can get paid doing what we love. And I really want to shed some light on that, on how to get there, the journey. And I want to be fully transparent about everything I'm doing, my entire journey up to pro and beyond. I intend on telling you guys every little thing I did to move myself forward. And I hope I can bring on some people on the show that'll basically uncover some of those answers too. But I honestly, I was kind of scared to do this, but I'm not even that shy of a guy, I guess. Like obviously I'm sort of extroverted, but I'm a bit of an introvert, and I think for years I've wanted to do this ever since I started playing pro hockey, but early on in the journey was when it was kind of the hardest, and I ended up shying away from it because I was like, well, if I don't even have a career, like what's the point of starting this? But really everybody goes through that, right? And I didn't learn that till later. Everybody goes through getting cut a bunch and then figuring out how to stick. And honestly, going through that process I think would help so many people. So I wish I would have started documenting my journey a lot sooner. But despite that, I'm starting, and despite wanting to have started this years ago, and being discouraged, I'm starting now. You know what I mean? Like I'm not taking any more time. I'm not wasting any more time. I think that there's the online goalie community since then has absolutely exploded, right? Like I think that the game in the position is just becoming so competitive. And for me, it's an absolute thrill. And, I've waited my whole life for this, and playing pro has been an incredible adventure the last 3 years. But I want to be that voice in your head to push you a little further every day, right? Like they say all you need to start a podcast is a microphone and a message. And boy, do I have a message for you guys, right? I'm trying to promote the right message to you guys so you guys can actually get the results that are going to move your career forward instead of all this fluff really that's going around. So I think when you find something you're passionate about, it really trumps all fears, that you have. I think that for me, I just love goaltending so much. And I just know that I think when you go online, it's a little scary, right? Like you're afraid of being judged. And I think my whole life I've been pretty good at ignoring that. But I didn't really know, like, this is the ultimate me putting myself out there my entire life. I'm really going outside my comfort zone to do this, and it's really just to give back to you guys and provide the most value possible. You know what I mean? And I just knew that if I'm myself, I don't have to lie about anything. You know what I mean? I don't have to lie about who I am, what I've been through, what I promote, what I represent, and what defines me. And I know that just by being my authentic self, that you guys will know I have great intentions and that I'm doing things in the best interest for you. And I really look forward to kind of obviously going on this journey together and getting to know each other and you guys getting to know me more. So what to expect, right? Like what can we expect from this whole ride? Well, first and foremost, I'm extremely connected in the goaltending community from minor hockey to pro. I intend on bringing on some elite goaltenders from all levels, all across the world of all ages, right? Guys that really have excelled in their career, right? Winners, champions, coaches that teach champions, coaches that help guys move their career forward, and try to dig deep, right? Find the hacks and strategies they used over their careers so maybe they can help you move forward with yours, right? This isn't going to be like Nhl Mag where we just like, hey, how was your career? Oh, I went here and it was great. Spittin' Chicklets is kind of a hangout corner, I guess, right? Like where they just kind of, hang out and talk about some things in the hockey world where that's more, both of those things are more on the entertainment side, right? This is educational. in the highest form you can receive it without paying thousands of dollars for goalie school, right? I'm literally going right to the source of guys, coaches, whoever who's getting things done, doing it, legit going out there, taking action and doing it, and showing you guys how to do it. Like the nitty gritty, the goalie hacks of what people use to move their career forward, things that I've used that nobody talks about. I know that there are many more out there. And, I plan on changing the whole landscape, right? Like, I believe in the free flow of information. Like, I really do. I think it's good for the sport. It's good for the position. And I'm on a mission to unveil the best kept secrets of goaltending, right? So if that's something that interests you, please stick around, subscribe to my channels, whether it's this podcast or I'll be recording all these sessions on video as well. So I'll basically be doing a video podcast as well. So whether you're commuting to the gym, to your work or to the rink, or you're in the gym doing a workout, I want to be able to provide and serve you guys wherever you're at in the best ways possible. And I intend on hitting every platform. So check me out, subscribe to my podcast, check me out on YouTube, Instagram, tons of information there. I serve content differently on every platform. But really, the goaltending landscape is just so expensive. I mean, and I'm just totally going to disrupt this space, boys and girls. Like, I'm really going to lift the veil on everything. You guys are going to have everything free of charge, and I know you're going to love it. So at the end of the day, I could care less if 5 people or 5 million people listen to this, whether it's today or tomorrow at the end of the year. I want to help at least one person become an elite goaltender. It's very simple for me. All I'm trying to do is help one person send the right messages, and constantly, like, as this thing grows, it'll be the same thing. Like, this is just to help you guys. I know you're going to find a ton of value in it. So I look really forward to serving you guys. I just want to show people that, like, you're not alone, man. Like, we all go through challenges, and we all eventually find ways to overcome them if we want to enough. And this show will demonstrate to you that anyone has the power to overcome obstacles. We just need to be willing to put the blood, sweat, and tears in. And, I will say this, there are no magic bullets, right? Like, I do a lot of things where I say, hey, this is the secret sauce. This is it. That is it. Like, to me, those are the secret things that have helped me excel. But at the end of the day, we all have to overcome our own challenges, right? Like, everybody overcomes them in their own ways, whether mentally or physically, differently. And really, how you become an elite goaltender is solving yourself, right? Is really figuring out in your own ways, mentally and physically, how to overcome the things that hold you back, right? The things that allow you to excel. And although we can give you hacks, tips, strategies, and kind of shave your learning curve a little bit, there's only so much that we can do on this show. And you have to go out. You have to be fearless. You have to be courageous. You have to be willing to fail, right? And get used to it. Love failing. Me, being an underdog my entire career, I suppose I've been a little more comfortable with failing. And it's put me in a great place to just, somebody doesn't want me on their team. Okay, I'll find another one. I know I have character. I know I have talent. I know I'm a good teammate, and I know I work hard. I know I'm a good leader, and I have all those things, and I've known that for a long time, despite nobody believing me. When I had an absolutely clean slate when I was 15, 16, I got overlooked in the draft. I believed in me over anybody else. I didn't need anybody's approval. I strived to be the best person I could be, the best version of me, right? It didn't matter if a coach came up to me and said, oh, you played good. I'd be like, no, I let in a soft goal. That's not good enough. Right, and I think you guys got to hold yourself to the highest standards as well. Most elite goaltenders do, and you have to shift your focus onto more solution-based mindset, I guess is what we could say, right? So with that being said, I intend on providing you guys value, but you need to go out there and fail. Try the things that didn't work. Try things. Find out what doesn't work. Find out what does over and over and over again, and really fail so much that you find the right answers, right? That's the way I do it. You got to liberate yourself from the embarrassment of failure, right? Like, you get cut from a team. What? It's embarrassing? Well, who cares? It's a part of hockey. It's a part of the game. That's what happens. You let in a goal. It's embarrassing. So what? You're going to have to get better. You got to work on that. Get over the fear of failing. Get over getting scored on. Do the things that make you the most uncomfortable and grow as a goalie, right? So, I want to show people they're not alone in this journey. I really want to help everybody through their journeys. And, other people might have better podcast gear or whatever. They might be a better host. Like, who knows, right? But there's just a lot of fluff out there going around right now. Self-proclaimed geniuses. And I'm here to tell you that I am not one of them, right? All I care about is I'm just committed to understanding the game, the position, the science that goes behind what the best thing is for the position. Like, I could care less if people invented the RVH. I could care less. I could care less if people brought back the two-pad stack. What are they doing? People are doing what they call butter stacks right now, where they're butterflying, and guess what? They're working because I'm not promoting it by any means, but the point is that it's working because it's throwing shooters different looks. It's helping the game move forward, and however way we can do that in an open conversation, I'm just committed to that. I'm committed to the right answers. All I'm interested is the right answers, and I intend on trying to uncover them all for you guys, right? So with that said, I just thank you so much for tuning in, for listening to me. I'm so excited for this. I'm so excited to connect with goalies and coaches from all levels, and to really put the message out there that we want to help people, right? Like, we want to help you become an elite goalie. We're going to do that absolutely free of charge. And I know you guys are going to love this. I just already know. So I'm so excited. I'm so excited for all this. I think I've talked long enough. We're going on an hour here. So with that being said, I just appreciate you all for tuning in. I hope that my message is clear. I hope you guys have a better idea on me, what I'm about, and what I represent, and what the mission is here, and what the brand represents. And I look forward to many more episodes, hundreds, in the next couple of years to come, bringing on the right people to answer the right questions, right? I'm gonna dig deep for you guys, and we're gonna get to the nitty gritty, so that way we can help people here. So, in terms of the shows and everything, I'm not too sure how things are gonna go. I'm definitely gonna bring people on the show, lots of guests. I'm likely gonna have a segment where you guys ask questions, send me in your questions. I pick a couple questions per segment, and I do a deep dive into each question on a podcast. So we'll do interview podcasts and then some Q&A podcast, because everybody has the same questions, and I know you're looking to hear the answers to them. So I look on centralizing those answers into a content library that everybody can access and go back to and look to, right? But to look forward to my first episode ever outside of this is just the inaugural episode to introduce myself. For my first episode, I'm going to be interviewing the man of the last 6 months who's made absolute waves in the goaltending community right now, in the online goaltending community and in person. He's the man that runs and publishes the IQ Goalie magazine, and it's been incredibly hot lately, getting tons of NHL attention, and I couldn't be more honored to have him on as the first guest. Him and I have become relatively close friends, and we really support each other's cause. I think IQ Goalie really embodies what Goalie Hacks is all about, and that's getting down to the science of goaltending, the things that really, the nitty-gritty of how we can actually implement scientific things to help improve the game. And that's sort of the approach I've taken my whole life. I'm not so hung up on one certain thing. I just want to do the right thing that's going to help me stop pucks the best, and I think that taking a scientific approach to that really helps. So I couldn't be more honored to have him on as the first guest, and I look really forward to that conversation. I know you guys will too. So I look forward to serving you guys again. Take care. I hope you enjoyed everything I had to say today, and I hope that you enjoy the journey that we're about to go on. So if you haven't followed me yet, hit that subscribe button on the podcast so you get all the updates when the episodes go live, and then go follow me on all my social media. Go sign up for my mailing list to get first access and notifications to when the podcast goes live and all the new videos. My mailing list will get all the inside scoop, and you can sign up for that on my website at goaliehacks.com. And then go follow me on all my social media, Goalie Hacks on Twitter, Goalie Hacks on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn now. LinkedIn, I'll actually be providing a bunch of really cool resources in terms of the career side of goaltending, right? Like, I think this is a business. And LinkedIn, I'm going to be providing you guys all the different roads that you can take in North America in terms of hockey. And how to basically do your own recruiting. And so if you're interested in basically career tips, not just playing and mental tips, go follow me on LinkedIn, Goalie Hacks company page, and you'll get more information there. So I look forward to serving you guys as best I can on this journey. Please come along for the ride with me. I know in a year or two when we roll into this that people are just going to be so happy that we got the ball rolling. And I'm really happy to get started with this. I couldn't be more happy to do the best I can to provide you guys value. So with that being said, this is Mike Santaguida signing off, and I look forward to serving you again soon. Take care.